So I wanted to make a part 2 of the helmet tutorial from the last video, but this time I wanted to make it more photorealistic and show how you can use a reference image to match the value structure, which is painter speak for light and shadow contrast, and color from a reference image. The image I chose to reference to try to mimic is this one here on the left from the film Astartes. It's grayed out now, but I thought that the mood of it and the light shadow contrast was really nice. And the detailing too is something that was really subtle but crisp and something I wanted to emulate. My plan to get the helmet drawing up to speed was fairly simple and straightforward, or so I thought. Number one, I was going to match the light and shadow contrast on the image. Two, try to get a little bit more detail into my drawing, especially in the focal points. And three, color match. Unfortunately, it didn't go as linearly as I would have liked for a tutorial. I was hoping to get something like technique A, then technique B, then technique C, and done. But it was something of one step forward, one step back, two steps forward, one step back, three steps forward, one step back. So you can see here on the right, I've darkened the image quite a bit. And this is kind of where I'm starting to realize that this might not actually work for a linear tutorial, as while I'm darkening everything out, I'm also smoothing out all the gradients to try to, one, create smoother gradients, and two, hide all the line and brushwork that I had previously drawn. And in doing that, that's where I realized I also have to go back and redraw a lot of details. So it became more of a back and forth between smoothing out one zone, adding detail, smoothing it out again, adding more detail. But I thought it would make an interesting image anyway, so let's continue and see where it goes. A great deal of this drawing becomes massaging gradients, edges, sharpening details, adding more blends or smoothing out certain areas, adding back the details. And there comes a point where you kind of have to focus on where you want your most attention, most detail to be focused. And I decided that would be the face. So here I'm trying to draw these leaves and this little medallion on his forehead with a little bit more attention. It took a little while to get there, but in the end I like where it's going. And I don't know, I think it was a pretty nice balance between having some areas be nice and crisp and other areas be a little bit blurred out. But the nice thing about blurring certain things out is twofold. One, that you don't have to draw everything with hyper precision, and two, it actually creates a sense of depth. And here I'm getting into the color matching part of the process. In most digital painting platforms, you click the eyedropper tool and you can match any color on any image you want to reference. And then you apply it to a layer and designate that layer as a color layer under the filters properties. Without getting into the weeds of color theory, that's essentially what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of clicking on different zones and applying those colors onto my drawing. At this point, I was feeling that my image was darker than what I would have wanted, so I decided to try a new reference image and more or less redo the entire process. The process here is more or less the same as in the first round of the drawing. I'm going to go around all the armor panels and readjust the light and dark gradients of all the armor pieces, and wherever detail is lost, I'll go back in and try to redraw it or carve it out of whatever I drew on top of it. At this point, I thought it would be good to correct some of the geometry that looked a little bit off. What I usually like to do is to get construction lines and create pure geometries, axes and circles and ellipses, and just simply massage my drawing to what I think is more visually and geometrically accurate to hopefully give a better sense of something real with actual volumes that make sense in 3D space. I think it helps create a sense of depth that makes the image feel that much more real. And here we're going to get to the color matching again. And what I liked about these images is that they're mostly monochrome. I say mostly because they're mostly this kind of blue tint, but if you look at the highlights on the armor, there's a kind of greenish light hitting the armor panels, and trying to match that proved to be a little bit tougher than I originally anticipated. So this is more or less the final touch-up steps of the image. I'm just going around, fine-tuning everything, adding little details here, making sure all the blurs look nice and give a sense of accurate depth. And this is what I got. Thanks for watching. So really quickly, I wanted to do one little thing, and it's something I think is really exciting about digital image production, and that's swapping out colors and being able to quickly manipulate colors. So I thought I'd do that with this image to produce this.